Y'all, I've been sitting on the front porch shelling peas the last few days. These are our chicken and dumplings cow peas. They're nice and dry, and the benefit of having them dry, as you can see here, I've got multiple buckets like this that we've harvested, is that now that the weather's so nice and it's just very lovely to sit on the front porch, I can do that and shell peas, relax, just lovely. I don't have tons of gardening chores to do. This is my favorite way to grow any sort of like shelling bean or pea, is to do them, set them to the side, and then come back to it, you know, a month later and shell them for storage. If there were any moisture in these, I would take them and lay them out on a sheet pan and let them dry fully before I put them in a sealed jar. But as it is right now, they're very dry. Also, this is our wax because we're getting ready to butcher our ducks next week. Jackson just came down with 3 of his friends. They just finished with football practice and had an event for, I don't know if it's the football players or the seniors, but they're going to, I guess, carve pumpkins, and they all needed to shower, and we are the closest, so that kept anybody from having to run home. Quick showers at our house. I don't mind. I love having the kids in the house, and I love having their friends in the house too. It's awesome. Tomorrow is processing day for the chickens, which we have all this stuff out here, which we will get set up first thing in the morning to prepare. We've got the coolers, we have canopies to work underneath. I don't think we're expecting rain, but we always pull the stuff out automatically. The pluckers, just everything here. And we have a group of friends that are getting into homesteading that are coming up to learn how to process, which is going to be really cool. And I am cooking a really big roaster oven full of chicken and rice soup, as well as a big pot of chili. Tonight, however, that's not actually what I'm thinking about. I did all of the legwork of planning that stuff earlier, and now I'm actually thinking about Thanksgiving. So I just came over to this garden bed to see if I had any germination. I had multiple little asparaguses coming up, of course, the weed of Roots Refuge Farm. And I don't see my parsnips yet. Probably go ahead and give this a quick water. I may wait until the morning. But I did spot the first little tender shoots of the shelling peas that I planted right here. That is wonderful. Happy birthday, little guys. Just barely out of the soil. We are flirting with frost. We're not there yet. When I look at the weather, it does not say that there is a frost. Oh, dang, guys. Next Thursday, the low is 32. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to freeze, but very well could. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be emotional. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be a big girl. It's okay. You like how I had to pause there to compose myself? So, frost. 10 days from now. Don't love it, but it is reality. It's part of it. We have seasons. It's okay. The reason I came out here is because I know that the frost is inevitably going to come soon, and I want to be prepared, and I want to make sure I get everything out of the garden that's frost tender that I mean to get out of the garden. And I'm thinking about Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving obviously is next month, and I love to make our Thanksgiving meal from the farm as much as possible, which mostly that is stuff that's already harvested. We've been growing pumpkins, which will go into pies and pumpkin rolls. Of course, we have potatoes that we harvested already, but the sweet potatoes are still in the ground, which if it's gonna freeze in 10 days, we're gonna have to dig them. I was gonna check them this evening and see if we have any, to see where they're at as far as development goes. And then I need to pick as many green beans as I can. I've been picking a lot, but I'm thinking I'm going to blanch and freeze a bunch of green beans. I've canned a lot, but I really like making green bean casserole out of fresh green beans when possible. it's not gonna be possible to have green bean plants going while it's regularly freezing. But if I go ahead and blanch them and freeze them now, I think that's the next best thing to fresh, and the texture will still be nicer than them being canned. So I was just looking here at my beets and chard. Look at this. That is the most lovely little collection of rainbow chard sprouts. This was like a multicolored mix, and this is one of each color all sprouted next to each other. The kind of coral color, the yellow, and the red. So I'm bummed when the freeze comes. It's not a surprise. I think though we gardeners can appreciate downtime, we can learn to rest, we can choose to embrace the season. It's always sad to see your lush green garden, you know, you have to wake up one morning and for it to be brown and wilted, and for it to have died from the frost. But I will tell you, I'm very happy that we are having these increasingly cold nights leading up to the frost, and that our first frost is looking like it's going to be right at freezing. That's nice. It's always a risk in planting a fall garden that you might end up not getting very much from it. It's just part of it. You can't guarantee what's going to happen when you're dealing with estimated dates. But remember this one year in Arkansas, I'd done all this work to plant fall cool crops, things that can survive a mild to moderate freeze. And it had been really warm the week before. I'm talking like it's like in the 70s Fahrenheit, 20s Celsius the week before. Very warm, very nice. And then all of a sudden it drops down. And the first freeze of the season was 16 Fahrenheit, -8 Celsius. That is very cold. It just didn't stand a chance. And all of my kale, all of my cabbages, just everything was zapped. It was so damaged that it didn't come back. Thankfully, I had a lot of plants in my greenhouse that I was able to put out, but it just was very disappointing. So now that I'm seeing the first frost, I am bummed to see a frost, but I obviously expected that. However, I am also partially relieved that it's not an intensely hard frost. All right, so here's the sweet potato patch, which, look, it ate the chair. Isn't that a picturesque little lovely thing? We were pretty late planting our sweet potatoes. That was partially just because it was a really busy spring, and partially it was a really cool spring. We had multiple late freezes, and we just put off putting these in. Sweet potatoes take 120 days in the ground to be like ready to harvest, and typically you will see the flowers bloom, and then it's after that that the tubers are actually ready. And that is not like an exact science, but I think they typically say like 2 to 3 weeks after the flowers bloom. Now some of these I saw bloom about 2 to 3 weeks ago. I still see flowers on some of them. So some of these potatoes may be pretty small, but I think that they'll be okay. When we put them in, though we were late, we had done the math and deduced that they were going to be ready like right before the freeze. Looks like that chair is just right for you guys to sit in. I'm not wearing the right shoes to like really wade out in here, but I just need to find a place where this is actually coming up out of the ground. This is funny. This row isn't even sweet potatoes. This is white potatoes. You can kind of see the plant sticking up out of there. The sweet potatoes are planted over there. That's hilarious. I was thinking maybe they had rooted into this and would be growing. So this was in the ground where those vines had begun to root. Not where we planted them, but sweet potato vines will crawl along the ground and root in multiple places, and given the right time, they'll grow potatoes in multiple locations, but that would turn into a sweet potato. Today was an in-town day. These are my town clothes. This is why I don't have nice things, because I think I'll just pop out there and kind of take some inventory for Thanksgiving, and then here I am. And I can't go change because the sun is setting, so I have to finish the task. Does anybody else just like ruin their stuff by gardening in it incessantly? On the very bright side, I haven't quite got it unearthed yet, but this is no small spud. Are these spuds? Would you call them spuds? I don't guess that's really accurate. Oh, that one is kind of small actually. Oh, these are the purple ones. Digging underground things is the best task for a garden. It really is. I love it so much. So look at this tangle of purple sweet potatoes. So they're not large, but I bet they're really tender, really delicious. They're large enough. Last year, and the reason why I wanted to wait a little bit this year to plant them is last year, all of the sweet potatoes that we planted got huge, and many of them were unusable because they were like these big, like veiny looking huge things that were super fibrous and had all these hard bits in them. And so I think I would rather have a harvest that looks like this. This is one little spot. I will take it. Oh, they're kind of got these little bitty roots on them, which those will dry up. These are the purple ones. I had one that was torn. You can kind of see the color of them. I like it. I need to get a basket and bring it back over here to get these. This will work. I think I may have my friend Daniel come this coming week and take some pictures of Maya and I and maybe the kids in in here, because when it freezes, it will no longer be with us. It will no longer be so lush and lovely until next year. Having the frost on the forecast is like having the knowledge that a very critical visitor is coming to visit your house, where like your to-do list that had been like theoretical before all of a sudden becomes incredibly urgent. Like, I have to get whatever peppers picked that I need, that I still want to preserve, because once the plants freeze, those peppers won't be good. Got to get the sweet potatoes up, got to get the green beans picked. Just anything that's frost tender, like this basil, if I'm wanting to save any of this. I was going to dry some basil for tea. Got to do that because the frost is going to kill that. And I have some other basils that I had like started later that if I wanted to dry to be able to use over winter, or take cuttings from to root. The pumpkins, I have to get whatever pumpkins are left, and then it would probably be a good idea to go ahead and like whatever seeds we were going to save, which I think we've primarily done that. I think I've got all the seeds saved. I don't know, I've got a lot of okra on the plants that could be good for seed saving. And at this point, if the frost is that close, it probably would make sense to go ahead and just pull the pumpkins that are ready and then put the chickens in that in-ground garden. I'm just rattling off my list because I saw that my critical visitor was coming to my garden. Such a weird response to have any sort of response at all about something that you know is going to happen. Just feels almost silly, but it happens to me every single year. I can be prepared. I can be mindful to embrace it. I can be prepared for rest. I can even want the season of rest to come. But as soon as I see the number 32 on the 10-day forecast, it's literally like something inside of my heart just sinks. I gotta find a hose for my hands. Still no germination in these carrot seeds that I planted. It's not unusual. It's only been, I don't know, 5 or 6 days, something like that, and Carrots can take a while. I did notice a lot of growth in these broccoli raw plants that I put in just over, I guess it's been about 9 days ago. Transplants are really cool. You know, you put them in. Yeah, that's my washed hand, guys. I washed the palm, but not the back. It's okay, I'll handle it when I get inside. I was mostly trying to be able to touch my camera without caking dirt onto it any more than it already is. So when you put transplants in, it appears at first that they don't do just a whole lot, and then they just kind of like boom, and you look back 2 weeks later and go, wow, this is twice the size that it was. I do not know how long ranunculus take to sprout. We did go ahead and mulch this just to keep it from drying out, and I don't see any activity yet, which I think is probably pretty normal. I think that's probably going to take a little while. Here's what I love about the garden. I'm admittedly very sad. That lush high tunnel just full of all those pepper plants. It is such a refuge right now. I mean, you could go just sit down on the ground in there and just be completely enveloped by green, by life. There's so much food. I love the seasons where you get to just go pick dinner. It's just very romantic to me and also extremely practical. But though that is coming to a close, I'm now in this high tunnel, which doesn't look like a whole lot right now. As far as the lush greenness, the beauty, I mean, this is beautiful in its own way, but compared to that tunnel next door that's just full of life, this feels quite empty. However, in another few months, I mean, just not even very long, this will be lush and full of life. And as this is winding down and everything that we're planting in here now is being harvested and coming to a close, that high tunnel over there will be, you know, in a different stage. And by spring, when the garden looks like it's just waking up, there will be a new place that's lush and full of life. And, you know, it's just, it really is impactful to me when you're in such a cyclical system. And it is. We're going by the seasons here, so there are cycles. It just always comes back around. I am actually really looking forward to the rest of winter. I'm looking forward to turning into the house, to doing a lot of cooking. I've got a lot of writing that I'm doing. I've become so poetic during this time. I mean, I've got projects that I can actually give attention to. I have hobbies, like I can crochet. I've been crocheting again. And there are pieces of life that are just so much easier when you don't have like a massive demanding garden and the farm and the high season to take care of. But of course, I mean, it is very bittersweet. I'm very much embracing it, but I'm also dealing with just the grief of letting this go. So, and that happens every year. And I would say it does get easier, just the very logical knowledge that it comes back around. That makes it a lot easier. I always share it because there are new gardeners that are just dealing with tremendous grief that they did not expect in getting into gardening every year. But it comes back around. And in the same vein, that allows you to just really thoroughly enjoy it, process the grief, but just be present. Eventually, that cyclical nature allows you to look at blank and empty spaces like this with nothing but vision. What do you see when you look at this? You'll see the moon up. Here's a tidbit. Did you know that if you have a pile of soil or compost, that it's best to flatten the top so that it catches more rain? Because if you make it a cone, which that one is kind of a cone, that one was just recently turned, it's fine for now, but eventually we'll flatten it out. If you make it rounded on top, the water can run off a lot easier, and the lower parts of your soil, and specifically some of the inside parts of your soil, can become really hydrophobic. So this helps it to gather as much water as possible, and in the case of compost, break down quicker. So I've adjusted my camera so you guys can see actually how dusky it is out here. I'm really excited to have the group that we're having come up tomorrow for chicken processing, because I love working with new homesteaders. It just excites me to be able to share this with them from the vantage point of, you know, confidence and knowing what you're doing. I feel like a lot of the things that we learned to do, we kind of had to bumble our way through because we didn't have someone to directly show us, you know, back when we first started. So I really enjoy when I have the opportunity to show people. I haven't taken you guys out here in a little while because I haven't gone out here in a little while. I've mostly just left it the last probably week and a half or two. I haven't walked out here. I surveyed the pumpkins that were here. Oh, Toast! Are you hunting, Toasty? The answer is yes. Anytime I talk to Toast and I call her by her name, she meows back. She's definitely in there hunting after something. I've got several really big pumpkins. I don't know if you can see that one right there. There's one. There's another one right here. I probably have at least another 12 to 15, but there are several that are green that are not going to turn in time, I don't think, which is kind of a bummer, but also I just kind of, it's okay. We've harvested a lot. Oh wow, look at this. Oh man, that sucker is huge. Look at it. That is so big. What can I do with green pumpkins? I mean, I know I can eat them. I know they don't last as long, but I'm curious, does anybody have any recipes or methods that they intentionally use unripe pumpkins for? So I know that a lot of pumpkins you can eat when they're really young, kind of like you would a summer squash, because they're just like a summer squash. They're just very young squash. But when they're this big, and therefore the seeds are going to be big and they're going to be kind of stringy, does anybody have any suggestions on that? I love being able to ask you guys things. It is such an incredible resource. I feel such an advantage when it comes to homesteading and gardening, because there are things that like other cultures do and people do in other countries that I would just absolutely never know. But I have this capacity to just ask a worldwide audience, hey, do you know what to do with the green pumpkin? And then I learn new things that are wonderful, and then I get to share them with lots of people. Isn't that amazing? Looks like the chickens are going up to bed as the sun sets. Several of them came running out here when they heard me because I think they thought I might have treats for them. I almost forgot my sweet potatoes. Good night, garden. This gallon container of sweet potatoes came from one plant, and I think there are about 100 plants out here, so yeah, I think we'll be fine for Thanksgiving and beyond. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today and all the days that you do. God bless you. Until next time.